as a mom with no previous experience to, medically fragile components of the adoption, the transracial components, all the different things, how do you balance learning without grasping onto control?
I call myself a recovering control freak.
Yeah.
I think raising kids and raising little kids and little kids with medical issues, there is such a desire and it feels like a need to hold on real tight to all of
Yeah.
it and to make it be something that we want it to be, like to force the outcome, to control it.
That's so
Um,
good.
but at the end of the day, it's not real. Like we can't control anything. That
Yeah.
is just the truth of it. And I think for me, a lot of the letting go of my control was in my infertility journey. Um, I like the Lord really was working in my life in that journey, and then there wasn't as much holding on tight once my kids came to me, but it was this like then we held on tight in adoption. We're like, oh, it doesn't matter what we do, and not that our actions matter, right? But at the end of the day, the outcome, we cannot control an outcome
That's
for
right.
anybody outside of ourselves, right? Like we can control the things we say and do and how we respond and the work that we do in our own lives. But
Right.
for anybody outside of me, I will never be able to control the outcome. And people learn this like through addiction, right? Like when you're in AA and an addiction, you're like, oh, the first thing you kind of go to is like, oh, I have no control. I can't
Yeah.
control the people outside of me. So it really is, it's this truth that I think humans, we have to learn through the going through it, unfortunately. Um, and the more that I've released, I think my husband and I now, even when life comes at us in different ways and things are tricky, it's like we try to really have a palms open posture.
Hmm.
Uh, this is what we're hoping for. We're going to work hard towards this, but we're not going to hold it with our fists clenched. We have to have
Yeah.
our hands open. Um, and yeah, infertility, adoption, disability, transracial, like all of that is just so big.
Yeah.
And once we've let go of control, I have found a lot of freedom in that, a lot of peace there. Like that's where the peace is for me when I step aside, like step out of needing control. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do my best here because I can
Right.
control that, and then
Yes.
we're gonna trust that the outcomes are covered by a good God and that we can do it. We can do it.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. So, so wise. And it is true. There is so much freedom to be experienced on the other side of that release and that surrender. And I'm recovering in that as well. It's still ongoing and have that fleshy tendency to revert back and go, whoa, wait a minute. No, I don't want to go back there. So I love that you share that. I'm curious, just in your work and founding the Lucky Few movement and just having your eyes opened truly to special needs, specifically Down syndrome, but other, medically fragile and all of that. What for our listeners maybe who might be wrestling with the potential of like they're scared of that phone call of, hey, we have a child for you, but there's this diagnosis, associated with this child. What is the prevalence of the need of children who are special needs or medically fragile, and what advice would you have for those who are desperate, like you talked about? And I can share that desperation and the dog years mentality of waiting and waiting for that fulfillment. Can you speak to our listeners who might be sitting in the tension of that right now?
Oh gosh, I guess I can. I'll do my best. I There's so many things to unpack in all of that.
Yeah.
I want to start here if it's okay. The Lucky Few, it is a movement that I started because I realized how lucky I was to have a child with Down syndrome. And the narrative I had had prior to that was like, don't do this. Like, say no. This is sad. Even when we announced that we were going to bring her home, it was like, it wasn't like, yes, congratulations. It's like, oh, are you sure? Um,
Hmm.
and then after this like false narrative that our society shares, the story about Down syndrome, I realized is not true and how overwhelmed I felt with like luck and feeling blessed to be her mom. And then realizing like, oh wait, a lot of people in the Down syndrome community, parents feel this way as well.
Right.
So that's been the work of the Lucky Few. Is I call that shifting the narrative around Down syndrome. And what I have to recognize is both of my kids who have Down syndrome, if they didn't have that diagnosis, and if there wasn't a false harmful narrative around it, they would have been parented by their birth families, and there wouldn't have been this destructive ripping apart.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's this mystery that I've discovered in adoption where I believe God's initial plan was to keep these families intact because God is not a God of destruction.
Right.
And God knew always and planned for me to be their mom. It's
Yes.
conflicting, right? It's
Yeah.
contradictory, um, and it's a mystery. But I
Yeah.
think God is grieved at the fact that these families aren't connected, like didn't stay together.
Yeah.
So there's this narrative that's false and harmful. That narrative broke apart these families and almost kept me from saying yes to adopting them. So I encourage people to do a little heart check. What is the thing that you are saying? What is your narrative around saying no to adopting a child with a disability? And where did it come from? And likely it came from society because we can't know what we don't know, right? And
Right.
if you've never been in relationship with people with disability, you've never been a parent to a child with a disability, then you can't know it, and that's fair, right? So
Yeah.
where is it coming from? And also recognizing and being okay with maybe it isn't something that is for you. Like I think when I had a time in my adoption, probably between my first and second, where I was like, everyone should adopt. I can't believe every Christian doesn't adopt. Um, and like that was like my soapbox. And then I have learned and been a little more quiet and quicker to listen. And adoption isn't for everybody. It's just not,
True.
right? Like you've got to know who you are. You've got to know what you can do. But I do believe it is for more people than are willing or are
Yeah.
ready, or not
Yeah.
even ready, than have considered it.
Yeah.
So I think it is like this a heart check, right? Like if you're listening, you're thinking, I do not want a child with disability. Like I've heard these stories. I was in that seat. Like, oh, I heard this story. Good for you. That's such a sweet story. Please, dear Lord, don't let that be my story.
Mm.
I would encourage you to just release like that open hand posture of I'm willing to step into a thing that I don't know. Like I'm
Yeah.
willing to step towards a thing that towards a child that maybe I feel scared of. Um, be willing to take that step in that direction with openness, knowing that you're. I just feel like I believe that God's goodness is so big, and God goes behind us and beside us and before us that there isn't going to be a misstep. We're going to
Yes.
step where we need. We're going to make it to the place we need to go.
So good.